Hello and what's up, political peeps? Per usual, I am your host, Arthur, and today I welcome you back to another episode of the GeoPolitical. Last week, I came on to talk about the very sad passing of Fairfield First Selectman Bill Gerber. Bill Gerber was a great friend of mine. I really think that he did great things for the town of Fairfield, so please do watch my tribute video in this top corner to listen to me talk about my relationship with First Selectman Gerber, the great things he did for this town, etc. Now, of course, this is very, very sad, but at this point, we do have to talk about what comes next for the town of Fairfield. The way that Fairfield's town government works is that there's something called the Board of Selectmen at the center, who decides on all pretty much executive decisions. And the First Selectman is, number one, the top of the Board of Selectmen, and then at the same time, they're the executive of the town. So they make all the big decisions, but also are in conjunction with the rest of the Board of Selectmen. So Article 6.3 of the Fairfield Town Charter, sections A and B, actually outline the steps in the event of a vacancy of the office of one of the selectmen on the Board of Selectmen in Fairfield. So a vacancy on the Board of Selectmen is declared after one of the selectmen or the first selectman is unable to carry out the duties of their office for a period that goes beyond 4 consecutive months, or they resign, or the unfortunate event in which they die, which happened in this situation. It's pretty rare, so it isn't addressed that often, so that's why I'm coming on here to talk about the next steps for Fairfield. Essentially, the main way that a vacancy in the Board of Selectmen is filled is through the remaining members of the Board of Selectmen. So, given that Bill Gerber is no longer with us and is no longer on the board, Brenda Kupchak, Republican, and Kristen Vitale, a Democrat, are the only 2 members remaining on the board. As such, it is their responsibility during tomorrow's Board of Selectmen meeting, which will be held at 4 p.m. in Independence Hall in Fairfield, Connecticut, to decide on a replacement. For now, Kristen Vitale, who served as a selectman beginning with Gerber and now is acting for selectman, has been holding the role, although she can't hold it for an indefinite amount of time. The Board of Selectmen has 30 days to fill the vacancy, and they hope that they can accomplish this tomorrow. Kristen Vitale has already put her name in the hat to continue her role as acting First Selectman, but as the official First Selectman, and essentially live out the rest of First Selectman Gerber's term, which expires in November of 2027. Now, the vacancy does have to be filled by somebody of the same political party, and it requires over 50% of the vote. So, since there's only 2 members of the Fairfield Board of Selectmen, the decision needs to be unanimous. You have to get the Republican Brenda Kupchak, who oftentimes has argued with Mr. Gerber and Mrs. Vitale very fiercely over issues on the Board of Selectmen. She would need to be on board for this. The thing is, the appointee has to be of the same political party. So ultimately, it is unlikely that Brenda Kupchak, Republican on the Board of Selectmen, will try to block this appointment. So I would say it's very highly likely that Kristen Vitale is named the first selectman to continue the rest of First Selectman Gerber's term all the way through November of 2027. In the event, which is most likely not going to happen tomorrow, because it wouldn't be in Brenda Kupchak's best political interests, especially considering she only lost this year's election by like 34 votes, and she could definitely have a comeback into the 2027 election, assuming that she remains popular with Fairfield residents. And I think that, blocking this nomination of Kristen Vitale would not make her super popular. So it's likely that she's going to go along and Kristen Vitale will become the first selectman for the remainder of the term. If it didn't happen, then it would fall into the hands of the Connecticut General Statutes. Under Statute 9222, after this, it would be the responsibility of the town clerk to notify the Democratic Town Committee that after 30 days, the Board of Selectmen wasn't able to decide on a selectman to complete the remainder of the term, and then the Democratic Town Committee, in this case, because the deceased or unable to serve selectman was a Democrat, would have the responsibility of voting on and choosing somebody to appoint to the position. they have 60 days to do this. So there are essentially two fallback options just in case that this doesn't pass the Board of Selectmen tomorrow. Now, you may be asking yourself, but isn't Selectwoman Vitale a member of the Board of Selectmen herself? Yes, she is. So when she becomes official First Selectman tomorrow, assuming that she does, there will still be a vacancy in one of the positions of Selectmen since it's a 3-person partisan split board, right? So at that point, those two, Vitali and Kupchik, will also have to appoint another Democrat, since there was 2 Democrats and 1 Republican on the board, to serve as just a selectman, assuming that Kristen Vitali moves up to First Selectman. So that was just a quick episode, kind of talk about what's coming down the pipe for Fairfield. Just for the record, the Vitali administration is exactly the same as the Gerber administration. They're continuing with the same safe streets initiatives, etc. Like I said before, Gerber was a great friend of mine, did great work for the town. Vitali seems to be doing a great job, hitting the ground running, very liked, especially across town and in the Democratic circles in Fairfield. I'm an intern for the Democratic Town Committee here in Fairfield, and I know that support for Vitali runs very deep. She is so far doing a great job. Again, everybody who knew First Selectman Gerber, sorry for your loss. Let's see how the Board of Selectmen meeting goes tomorrow. I'm very interested to see how First Selectman Vitali will continue her journey of continuing the Gerber agenda. Political peeps, you guys know the drill. I have interviews, I have meetings. We're going up to Hartford to get some content together about economics in Connecticut. You guys know the drill. Peace out, political peeps.